I am Larry Hatcher. This is Psych 302 Computer Applications and Data Analysis, and we are looking at Jamovi exercise 100.01. ANOVA with two between factors, input, assumptions, and analysis. Yes, this is to students in my Psych 302 class. Yes, this week you will complete all three tests described in this exercise. Task 1, which involves downloading the data set and performing the statistical analysis. Task 2, which involves completing multiple choice quiz. And Task 3, which involves uploading your Jamovi documents. Exercise overview. This exercise is essentially part 1 of a two-part sequence that will introduce you to two-way analysis of variance. The current exercise deals with material that appears in the first half of lecture notes, chapter 100, ANOVA with two between subject factors, main effects only, approximately pages 1 to 38. Those pages show how to create or download the data set, request the necessary analyses, and verify that your data satisfy the assumptions underlying the statistical procedure of interest. We scroll down a bit on the same page. Our fictitious investigation, screen size, screen resolution, and reading enjoyment. Imagine you're conducting a program of research with a new line of e-readers similar to the Kindle or the Nook that college students can use to read electronic textbooks, articles, and such. The corporation that manufactures these devices asks you to identify which types of e-readers provide users with the greatest degree of reading enjoyment. In your most recent investigation, your sample consisted of 48 college students who used a specific e-reader for one semester. Dependent variable. The criterion variable in your study is reading enjoyment. This construct was created by asking participants to complete a multiple item summated rating scale consisting of items such as, I love using this e-reader. Total score on the scale could range from 1 to 100, with higher scores reflecting greater self-reported enjoyment. We move to page 2 of the exercise. In your investigation, you're going to have two factors. Factor A is screen size. In your investigation, the first independent variable, factor A, was a limited value variable named screen size. You created this factor by randomly assigning participants to one of three treatment conditions. One group of 16 participants was assigned to the 6-inch screen condition. Subjects in this sample used an e-reader with a screen that measured 6 inches diagonally for the semester. A different group of 16 participants was assigned to the 10-inch screen condition, and a third group of 16 participants was assigned to the 12-inch screen condition. Your second factor, factor B, is screen resolution. In the same study, you also manipulated a second independent variable, factor B, screen resolution. You manipulated it by randomly assigning participants to one of two treatment conditions. This factor consisted of two levels, a low resolution condition and a high resolution condition, yes. Of your 48 participants, 24 were assigned to the low resolution condition. Students in this condition used an e-reader with a screen that displayed relatively small number of pixels per inch, producing a not terribly sharp letters and images. The remaining 24 participants were assigned to the high resolution condition, and they used an e-reader with a screen that displayed relatively large number of pixels per inch, producing sharper letters, sharper images. Your factorial design. In your study, factor A and factor B were both between subject factors. This means that a given participant was assigned to just one condition under factor A and to just one condition under factor B. Following figure illustrates factorial design used in the study. We're still on page 2. This is toward the bottom of page 2. We have the factorial design. Factor A is screen size. 1/3 of your participants were assigned to use a 6-inch screen, 1/3 used a 10-inch screen, 1/3 used a 12-inch screen. The other factor in your study was screen resolution. Half of your participants were assigned to use a high-resolution screen, and the other half were assigned to use a low-resolution screen. We move on to page 3 of the exercise. Preceding figure shows that there were 6 cells in the current design, and each cell represents a combination of treatment conditions. For example, the 8 participants in the upper left cell use an e-reader with a 6-inch high-resolution screen for the semester. Does that make sense? This is a cell. You remember that a cell is a location where the column for one factor intersects with the row for the other factor. Apparently, since we have 8 participants in this cell, it means that there were 8 participants that experienced the 6-inch condition under the screen size factor while simultaneously experiencing the high resolution condition under the resolution factor. The remaining 5 cells can be interpreted in the same way. In fact, that's what my bullet points go on to say. Here at the top of page 3, remaining cells may be interpreted in the same way. We're still on page 3, toward the top of page 3. Research hypothesis. Based on a review of previous theory and research, you predicted the following. You predicted reading enjoyment scores will be higher in the 12-inch screen condition than in the 10-inch or 6-inch condition, and those in the 10-inch condition will be higher than those in the 6-inch condition. Still on page 3, about halfway down, we come to task 1, performing the analysis in Jamovi. You will now use Jamovi to perform ANOVA on the data in the preceding table. In doing this, follow the instructions provided in Lecture Notes, Chapter 100, ANOVA with 2 between subject factors, main effects. And yes, I do have a video on the relevant section of that chapter. Our instructions continue. Follow the instructions in the section headed Starting Jamovi and Opening the Dataset to begin this process. The dataset you open and analyze will be named Size, Resolution, Reading, ANOVA 2 Between Data. I know that doesn't make much sense, but that is the name of the data file that you will download and open. You can download this dataset from Canvas modules. If you need guidance in doing this, see the instructions in the section headed Downloading the Jamovi dataset from Canvas in the Lecture Notes Chapter 025, which we covered earlier this semester. The dataset that you download will contain the following 4 variables. One of them will be participant, simply gives a unique subject number to each participant. One variable will be screen size. It indicates the condition to which a participant was assigned under the screen size independent variable. One variable will be named resolution. It will indicate the condition to which the participant was assigned under the screen resolution independent variable. And the last variable will be named enjoyment, and it provides each participant's score on the dependent variable reading enjoyment. Once you've opened the dataset in Jamovi, you'll request statistics and plots similar to those that appeared in the lecture notes section headed Requesting Descriptive Statistics and Performing the ANOVA, except obviously you'll be analyzing different variables. You'll request all plots and statistics that had been requested in lecture notes for Chapter 100. This means that you will use both. And you can see we've now moved to the top of page 4 of the exercise. This means that you'll use both the descriptives procedure as well as the ANOVA procedure, both of which are illustrated in your lecture notes. Important, do add your name at the top of the results panel, and here I give you a reminder as to how you do that. Still on page 4, we continue. Preview of some of the correct Jamovi results. Your Jamovi document should contain more tables and plots that are demonstrated below, but you should be sure to check the values that appear in your Jamovi results panel against the values below to verify that you obtained the same values. I give you some hint results here just so that you can check your results against mine and make sure you're getting the same statistics. I'm on page 5 of our exercise. In your descriptives table, it should indicate that you've got 8 participants who are in the 6-inch low condition, 8 participants that are in the 6-inch high condition, and so forth. Skipping down to the section headed means, this provides the mean for each of the subconditions of our study. For those participants that were in the 6-inch screen size condition, while simultaneously being in the low resolution condition, their mean score on reading enjoyment should be 27.75. You should check the mean score for each of these cells as they appear here in my hint output against the means that you observe in your output to make sure that they match up. If they do not, it's likely that you've made some kind of error, and 80% of the time it's some kind of a small error in keying the wrong value for reading enjoyment in the data set. It can be something like that. Anyhow, do check your statistics against mine. Make sure that they match up. We continue. We're on page 6 of the exercise. Here we have QQ plots. Your QQ plots should resemble mine. I have a note here that says, yes, the descriptives procedure will produce a lot more statistics and plots than are displayed above. I am still on page 6 of the exercise. We come to an important table, the ANOVA table. This is the analysis of variance procedure. You should look this over and compare your ANOVA table against mine. At a minimum, look at things like the F statistics. Did you get the same F statistic for screen size and resolution and screen size by resolution interaction? If not, something likely went wrong, most likely in the preparing of your ANOVA procedure in Jamovi. And you should have a plot that looks like my plot. I'm on page 7 now, top of page 7 in the exercise. You should have a plot that resembles mine. You should have a table of estimated marginal means that resembles mine. And yes, your ANOVA procedure will produce a lot more statistics and plots than are displayed above. These are my hint output. I provide you just a few of them so you can check your numbers and make sure your numbers check mine. So that was task 1, doing the analysis. Task 2 is the usual task 2 that you see in these exercises, taking the multiple choice quiz. At the same time that I assign the exercise, I'll also publish a related multiple choice quiz in Canvas. This section provides a study guide that should help you prepare for that quiz. If you can answer the open-ended questions provided below, you should do well on the multiple choice items that appear on the quiz. And we have items such as, I'm on page 8 now in the study guide items. Items like, according to the results presented in the descriptors table, what was the highest observed value on your reading enjoyment variable? In which section of the descriptors table did you find this information? We have items like item 6, according to the results presented in the descriptors table. Which of the 6 cells of the research design displayed the greatest degree of skew? In other words, which cell was the most skewed? What was the obtained skewness statistic for this cell? You should be able to answer the questions that appear in the study guide before you take the multiple choice quiz, because you'll see the items in the multiple choice quiz are very, very similar to these items. Once you've taken the multiple choice quiz, we come to task 3. Task 3, uploading your Jamovi file in Canvas assignments. You'll upload the Jamovi file that you just created in Canvas assignments. Be sure to save a copy of this Jamovi file on a drive where you can locate it in the future. That's because next week you'll review the results from the same file to interpret significance tests and indices of effect size from the ANOVA that you just performed. And yes, I did divide this analysis up with you doing the analysis and looking over the descriptive results with this exercise to make sure that you satisfy the assumptions. Next week, you'll do a separate exercise that involves you taking a close look at the ANOVA results and seeing which of your results were statistically significant, how big were your indices of effect size, and so forth. So this has been a quick overview of the highlights of Jamovi exercise 100-01, ANOVA with two between factors, input, assumptions, and analysis.